Hey guys, Wastrick here to take a look at my Sylvania VHS camcorder. Had this for a while now, got it for around $30, which is a really great deal. But first, before that, I'd like to get into the history of just a brief history of the camcorder in general. Well, the camera that I have is a VHS camera. It uses VHS tapes, which were introduced in the late 1970s by JVC as a replacement for the U-matic system then in existence. And there was a little format war throughout the 80s between Sony, which owned Betamax, and VHS, which was owned by JVC. Now right here I have a Betamax tape. It's a little bit smaller than VHS. It has these max out at about usually 1 hour of recording time versus 2 to several more hours for VHS. And this was the loser of the format war. On the JVC camcorder that I have, before they had the VHS camcorders, they used this. This is a Super 8 camera from about 1976. Now the VHS replaced Super 8mm because most of these cameras do not film in sound. They do not record for very long, about 3.5 minutes. You need to send the film off to be processed, and finally you need to have a projector to play the film on. So VHS had the breakthrough capability to record, erase, and re-record, which was a very, very big deal, because with film, once you shoot it, you're done. That's it. Now the camcorder I have right here is a Sylvania. It's a pretty reputable manufacturer, and camera was manufactured in 1987. On the electronic viewfinder, it has the date stamped in there, which reads April of 1987. Now, this camera is fully functional, even though it is about 26 years old. Power's right up. And then, as you can see, it pops right open, which the unusual feature is the camera needs to be powered on for you to eject the tape. So, and then as you can see, this is a full-size VHS tape. Compare this to the Betamax. It's a little bit bigger. Now for this camera to load the tape in, you put it in with the windows facing outward. You just pop in the tape, and then you close the camera and you're good to go. Let's go ahead and power it off for a second. So as you can see, this is a pretty big camera. It's a lot bigger than the VHS-C cameras from a little bit later, but this is a very, very nice camera. Back when this was new, this probably retailed for $500 and up. I got it for $30. So these were pretty expensive pieces of equipment. The professional models you can expect to find, even the old models, for $1,000 or more with the VHS Super. So now looking at the back of this camera, it has a tracking wheel, an editing switch, and then on the back it has a port so you can hook up to either a TV or a remote activation switch. And then on the back there's a headphone jack and the remote control jack. And back here is the battery compartment. And the camera runs on one of these, big lead-acid battery, which will give you a few hours worth of recording time before you need to charge it. So back in the day, if you're going out on a trip or wherever, you always made sure you had a spare battery or two with you. So, and then it just goes and slides right in. Now on the side of the camera, there's a variety of different switches that you can use. There's a high-speed shutter function, a fade function for in between scenes, so it doesn't abruptly end on the tape and start a new scene, which is pretty neat. And it has the time functions, like so you can set the time and whatever else you want to set. Date, time, and counter. And then there's a backlight function as well. Then looking on the front here, it has the option of you can either switch from autofocus to a manual focus. To focus manually, you just move this lever up and down right here. And then looking on the top of the camera, right here you have the record button, and then the zoom functions are right here on the camera. Then the microphone is very prominent on here. You can actually, there's a port on the side to where you can hook up additional equipment such as another microphone or a spotlight, which I think is very neat considering this is a camera designed, at least I think so, for home use and not professional use. Now, an interesting feature about this camera is that it can also be used as a VCR. On top right here, there's a little piece of plastic with different functions on here. One side, you slide it to one side to use it as a camcorder, and then the other side you can use it as basically a VCR. See, and right here are all of the various functions as a VCR, which I think is very, very cool. And then this camera has an electronic viewfinder. It's not like a conventional film camera where it uses a system of mirrors to allow you to see what's through the lens. This is actually almost like a miniature television camera inside of there. But the only unusual thing is instead of color, it's in black and white. I assume it's to save power and or cost, but it's still a very nice feature found on more high-end cameras. Let's go ahead and take out the lens cap. As you can see, the lens is in extremely good condition. Again, I got this camera in just fantastic condition for $30. It's just absolutely amazing. Let's go ahead and power it on, and I can show some of the functions. Then it takes a second or two to warm up. So, and as you can see, as I'm moving the camera around, the lens is auto-focusing. I don't know if you can see it as I play with the zoom. You can see that very, very nice autofocus. Let's go ahead and pop this bad boy out. Alright, and then to record, you hit the button on the little grip. I think it's very nice that it has that Velcro on there. See, and then when you're recording, there's a flashing light to let you know that the camera is taking video. It's very, very neat. And a function that I like, or a feature that I like on this camera, is that it has a nice pad right here for your face. And I will not lie, this camera is relatively bulky, but this is a hell of a lot better than a Super 8 camera. Again, with this camera, you have the ability to edit and record the footage that you've taken, and you can hook it up to a TV and watch it right after you record it, which is very, very cool. So, and I don't know if you can see it right here, the little electronic viewfinder. It's got a sort of prism on here for easier viewing and a very nice rubber eyepiece. As you can see, it's just basically a miniature television camera, black and white. Very, very cool piece of equipment. Now, the things that I got with the camera, it came with a bunch of AV cables, a remote control, so that you can stand in front of it when it's on a tripod and then take video. A bunch of other cables. I'm assuming they're just extra AV cables. Analog equipment's great, isn't it? This cable, I don't know exactly what it's for. It's probably some kind of video cable. Right there. And then the battery charger, which you actually route the AV cables through when you are going to hook it up to the TV. So, and to top it all off, a very nice carrying case with a combination lock. So I definitely got my money's worth on this camera. I couldn't have got any more bang for my buck. And I got it because it's just a really neat piece of history, and it still works. You can still take pretty good video with it, and I just like old technology, so I think that's all about I can say for that. So hope you guys like the video. Please make sure to comment and subscribe.